All right, sister, and we are back. So, do you remember? So earlier, remember when I was talking about I had to let somebody know that I no longer think that we are compatible. It was refreshing to actually say that because it was. I think so. Just to give you all a little bit of like recap of this person. This person was somebody that I previously had.
Relationship with?
I don't want to say in a relationship. We were getting to know each other.
Okay.
And they ultimately told me, and we mentioned before that I was not masculine enough for them.
Oh yeah, that
Yes.
irritated the shit out of me.
So I know. So fast forward after my ex, ugh, I shouldn't have done this, but I spent the block. We seen each other on social media. We were like, hey, missed you, woo, 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 right? So we gradually started to get back into conversations. However, I started to notice that I didn't feel that same way anymore with them. And I felt that they were feeling a little bit more, but they also weren't showing up any differently, if that makes sense. Like they weren't being assertive. They weren't being the person that I would like long term.
Mm-hmm.
And today they had like text me and was like, hey, what's going on? What's up? And I was like, ultimately, like I felt like I thought I could like get back into this, but I fully haven't let my guard back down for you. And I don't think that I still trust you yet. Like, I think that realistically, looking at long term, my gut is telling me that I don't see us in our future just because I think that those things that we had issues with before are still going to be an issue moving forward. And they actually didn't take it like disrespectfully. They actually was just like, what are those things? And I actually articulated the things that I was like, hey, I think that we will not work because you have things that I don't think is you have things that are a boundary to me, and there's a boundary that you have on your end with me as well. So we both have conflicting things that we don't see eye to eye with each other. And it's not things that I feel like we can honestly compromise with because I told him the one thing about me is I will change to make you happy, which will no longer make me happy.
That's right.
And I do not want to ever see myself doing that. And then I also noted that I will resent you for making me feel as though I can't authentically exist. Because that was the first thing I said to him. I said, I don't feel like I don't feel like I can fully be myself with you yet. And that was the first thing. And then the second thing was I will change to make you happy, which I would therefore resent you.
Yeah.
So those are some things that I listed. And then also just in regards to like things intimately wise, we weren't going to see eye to eye on. And I was just like, it's best if we just stop right now. And, it's there's no bad blood, there's no like hard issues. We just separate. And I think that like separating on an amicable, even if they didn't think it was amicable, separating on a clear communicated path, I think was so healing to me because like I typically am someone that will try to like be very like walking on eggshells. And ultimately I was just like, I don't feel like we have chemistry. I don't feel like we are going to be compatible. And then long term, I know that this will not work.
Yeah.
So it felt really good to say it, but I knew that like he kind of was like, I get it and I respect it because I do like you and I know that you'll be a great husband in the future.
Okay.
But I was like, I won't be the husband for you because what you want in a partner is not what I want in a partner. And
Clearly.
you like, and I was like, ultimately, like we stopped talking for a reason. And I also didn't see a difference in the circle back. So I want to know your thoughts about that too. But like, I felt a sigh of relief, like being like, I communicated clearly and I was okay with just like being okay with whatever they felt because I was being true to myself.
You know what that is?
Secure
Growth.
Yeah, because I feel like for me, it's like I think a lot of us are afraid of rejection, afraid of the fear of someone not liking us. But we have to realize that everybody is not going to like everybody, and it's okay to walk away from somebody being transparent. Specifically, if it's something that you can't change, you won't change. Like for me, I said, I will not change what I want intimately. I will not change what I want to show up and exist as. And also, I will not change what I would like for you to show up as well.
I mean, it ultimately comes down to compatibility. I'm always reminding myself about that, right? Like that if you have shown up as your authentic self, this is the reason that I try to be conscious about my relationship to romantic rejection.
Mm-hmm.
like, sure, the stakes are high, but if I have presented the most honest version of myself and a person's like, I don't want it, then like we're not compatible. It isn't
Yeah,
like this person is the end all be all, like the person to be with. There is no such thing. You're either compatible with someone or you're not. And like,
yeah,
sure, there are qualities that are like generally appreciated about, by people, but like you could have textbook like all the best qualities a partner could have and like still not be compatible with me.
yeah,
So it is what it is.
yeah. I was also questioning, do you feel like compatibility and chemistry can develop over time?
Mm,
Because I do agree. I do think that
chemistry, yes, but compatibility, no.
I think compatibility, I think it's the more that you interact with that person intentionally, you might be like, and start to get to know them more and have intentional conversations. You'll be able to, but I
I
think,
disagree.
okay, well, let me finish. I was done. But no, just I love you, sister. But I do things take time because a lot of people are coming in probably not healed or healing. So I think that compatibility and chemistry, if it's things that you can work on or work through, I think that it's something that you can gradually work on over time if y'all both are willing to do that. But ultimately, if it's things that are like boundaries of yours, what boundaries of yours or things that you ultimately are like long term, it won't really work. I think you could just be like the chemistry just wasn't there, and like I wish you well.
I think that's what I mean by compatibility. Like chemistry is one thing. And like oftentimes I realize that like if the first thing you feel is chemical, it's probably not a good indicator that like the relationship will work. That's like one of the
Mm,
best lessons I've learned, especially being in New Orleans. But compatibility is not about like how much you like the person or about like you're like developing a love with them or even a getting to know each other. It's like, do our lives work together? Like, do
hmm
we function together?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's a way to establish or to become more compatible with someone without doing what you were saying earlier, which is like changing who you are to fit them. That's like that. When they have those little diagrams, those little like
Yeah.
comics of a puzzle piece, and like it cut a piece off to fit in somewhere it didn't
Yeah.
belong. That seems like that. Like if you were
Yeah.
trying to become compatible with something you're not compatible with,
Yeah.
like because we're talking the difference between me living with someone who likes to like I don't know because I don't want to give a trivial example that can easily be worked around. I guess we're
It's
talking about the difference between like I
wanting kids and
live
not wanting kids.
yes, perfect. That's a
Yeah.
perfect example. Like if you really want kids and the other person doesn't, you're not gonna come to a point where you're like, oh, how do we compromise this? Probably don't work out.
Yeah. That's
But
yeah.
if we're talking like I like the house to be warm and my partner
Yeah.
likes the house to be cold, that's like not a deal breaker,
Yeah.
right? Like it maybe not be like a perfect fit, but that
Yeah.
is something you could work around. So thank you for that. That was a great
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
But those are differences to
And
me.
I think those are the things that we need to look for when we're in conversations with people to see if we have chemistry or not, is those serious conversations. Like, how do you feel about living together? How do you feel about, kids? How do you feel about religion or politics or like things that
Exactly.
like you can really, because I've started to realize is the key to success for me in a relationship, in a partnership, is comfort. I want to feel comfortable enough to tell you how I feel, comfortable enough to be my authentic self, comfortable enough to, be transparent and honest. Because my mindset is if you're comfortable enough to tell somebody that you want to cheat, you won't cheat because you can have that
Yeah,
conversation.
that's me too.
Yeah. Like, I want to be like, baby, like,
That
I'm,
man fine.
yeah, that man fine. And then, and it's also having a secure attachment,
Did I ever tell
which,
you mm,
what? If you
that
would
I did
know
that one time?
that you told a partner that you wanted to fuck somebody else?
That I felt like there was an attraction between me and their friend. And
Oh,
I said that to them because I was like, I'm letting you know so that nothing like really like it was like an accountability piece, but
yeah.
I'm starting to understand that I guess you can't people have told me you shouldn't tell your partner everything, and I'm seeing that echoed everywhere. So I'm considering that it was a
Yeah.
bad move, but like I was never gonna have sex with the friend, and I specifically shared that information so that I would never like feel tempted to do that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing because I have had people tell me that in my dating woes is you don't tell everything to a partner. And I think for me, I don't agree necessarily. I think you tell them what they need to hear. Not what they need to hear. That's not what I was trying to say. I think you need to tell them what is important. Like what is genuinely like
Pertinent.
if pertinent. Like for example, I think a question is somebody asks me, do you tell a partner if you have like past relationships with a friend? And I was like, depends on like when was it?
Oh yeah.
And how close are you to
It
that
is
friend?
nuanced.
Yeah, how close are you? Because I'm not going to tell you if I messed around with a friend 3 years ago and we are now like sisters. But if it's a boundary of yours and it's a a comfort, you need to be comfortable. I will tell you if you ask. Now, do you think I will solicit the information? No. But if you ask me, hey, have you had any friends with benefits? I will be yes. I will say yes. But I won't be like, so that person right there in 2013, yeah, that one right there. We didn't do that much. I wouldn't because I'm like, what's the need for it and what are you asking for? That's the thing.
That's a good point.
But yeah.
I mean, I've realized that it probably doesn't help a person to receive the information that I shared specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not married. I feel like
Yeah.
what I did would be helpful if that guy and I were in a long-term committed relationship and I felt like that was going to be something that jeopardized the commitment we had put work into. But I'm now realizing that in a newer sort of like,
Yeah.
we weren't even like in an official relationship. It
No.
probably wasn't an important thing to say. I have to stop maneuvering in these like interactions with men as if we're already like 10 years deep into it. Like I always feel like the same rules apply and they don't.
No,
You
I
can't.
agree. I'm the same way as I'm starting to learn, and shout out to like my algorithm on Instagram is showing me secure relationship attachments. And like, for example, the thing that I've been getting a lot is you don't have to text all day, every day with
I
somebody
don't
that
want
you're
that.
in
No
the
way.
early stages. Like for me, I used to think that if the person is not texting me consistently, then they are not interested in me. They don't want to talk to me. They're wasting my time. And then for me, I realized, bitch, you have anxious attachment. So then
And
I
you
was
was a
like,
busy motherfucker. You really want somebody in your phone like that all goddamn day?
yes and no. I think for me, it was the reassurance. That was
Okay.
the part that I was wanting it for. Was I probably can't text like all the time, but I will make time to text. But I think for me, it's knowing I see that message and see that person. It releases like endorphins, I think, or something like
Nah.
the high of waiting for somebody to text me and they do
Dopamine.
dopamine. So yeah, but I started to realize like my schedule was too busy. I can't text her all day, every day. Like right now, people probably are blowing me up, and I'm like, "Hey, just finish the podcast. Now I can talk." But what I do is I communicate things like, "Hey, I'm going to be away from my phone. I'll talk to you when I get done." Some people don't do
That's
that.
so thoughtful. I should be better about doing things
But
like
that's just
that.
me though. Like I think that's because I don't want if I recognize that other people might have anxious attachment or avoidant attachment. So like for me, how would I want somebody to communicate to me? That's what I would do. But like I realize in like the people that I've dated or talked to, they just don't text all the time. Like if my mind says, as long as I talk to you like in the day and in the evening, I mean morning and in the evening, I'm okay now. Like I don't need to hear from you all throughout the day because then it's like, what are we going to talk about in person? Like, and then there's things I really want to genuinely ask you in person that I don't want to just ask through text. So it's really that. But I think what you told I think you telling him, I don't think you should have said it. How long has you been talking or like getting to know each other?
This was 3 years ago, so I feel like it had been, let me say, probably like 3 months at that point.
I think you were trying to establish trust with
I
him.
was. That's important to me.
Yeah.
Integrity as well. And like, I was like, okay, well, like, this is flirtation that's happening here. And I was just like, I know that like witnessing two people kind of flirt with each other and developing your own narrative about it must suck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, so here's the thing. I feel like this was happening over there. And I actually really want to get to know you. So I'm just letting you know that like I will be I'm going to create some distance between me and your friend so as to
Mm-hmm.
avoid like any complications there. And I think that's what I said.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I helped the situation at all by sharing that information at that time. I'm like in hindsight, I probably could have just kept it to myself and just made a point to be like You know what I mean? And then he
Yeah.
would never have really had to worry about it. But I think
Mm, yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, so I would rather
Get in
be
front of it.
transparent about, yes, get in front of it and be
Yeah.
transparent about it. But I do think, like, in hindsight, for me to have only been dating him for like 3 or 4 months at that point, I probably could have just,
Yeah. I think maybe you were thinking about, I always think about, so how will your partner respond to that? Like, because it's also like, do they like be like, I don't want you to be around him? Like, why do you like him? Or is it just like, okay, what are you interested in? Let's have a conversation. Like, because
yeah, but
I would never make it about myself because I would not be like, what am I doing wrong?
yeah, but it's also not kind in hindsight. So this is something I think I struggle with as probably as a Sagittarius, and just in terms of how I think and see the world. Like, integrity and truth are so important to me, but I
Mm-hmm.
forget that, like, some truth isn't like necessary to share, and
Mm-hmm.
sharing it is just cruelty.
Yeah.
And I realized that, like, there was nothing really he could do about it.
With
There
that
was nothing that
information.
he was going to be able to, there was no behavior he was going to be able to exhibit to shape that in the right way. And so me sharing that information with him at that time, considering we were not married and did not know each other very well, we hadn't gone
Mm-hmm.
through this big commitment, you know what I mean? There, it wasn't going to really do much but create anxiety, and
Yeah.
that probably was really fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting with that now and thinking, wow, for a fresh interaction with someone that isn't super long term, hasn't been long term, that you're not even sure about, this isn't a kind thing to say to
Mm-hmm.
someone, even if it is true.
Yeah.
And even in also another hindsight, it probably was just something that I didn't want to sit inside of me, and so I
Yeah.
kind of offloaded to him.
Yeah. Mm. So you were like trying to put it out into the air to get it off your chest?
So that, like, I wasn't sitting with the guilt of, like, oh, I'm attracted to this person and I feel like they're attracted to me because of the way we've been interacting, and like that just feels weird to do to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that, saying that to him was probably more about relieving the guilt and stress of it off of me. And I told myself that it was about, like, being
Yeah.
honest, but like, and that's a valid reason, and like
Yeah.
it totally makes
I,
sense in a
yeah.
committed relationship.
Yes, I think in a committed relationship, but I also think that like instilling trust and like security and comfort, I feel like you can say those things because I think it allows for like y'all to have dialogue. I think to me, it's the necessary thing to have dialogue. Now, it's the way the person takes it. The issue is if he made it about himself.
But I'm finding that most people are not, they don't have healthy relationships with their insecurities.
Yeah,
I find this all the time, that like,
yeah,
I was always under the, I'm still, even like, I operate in my own life that, like, I want to face the harsh truths. I've said this to you and to,
mm-hmm,
I think, to our audience a couple times, that like, I want to deal with the harsher or more difficult truths in my life, but not everyone else is ready to do that. And I can't really thrust people into that without their
mm,
consent. That's the
yeah,
first thing. And secondly, that like, a lot of people are kind of navigating their insecurities as best as they can, and kind of finding it isn't my place to challenge those insecurities in any
mm,
way. They're not
yeah,
paying me to do that. That's not necessarily my role in their lives. If I wanted to actually support someone, then I would do so when they were naturally put in positions to deal with those insecurities, not introduce those moments to them. And that wasn't my intention. I was not trying to,
yeah.
like, make him confront an insecurity. I was telling my truth. But like,
It wasn't about him though.
it, of course it wasn't. But I see now that, like, the collateral damage of that is not really
Yeah,
worth sharing it in that context. I totally
yeah,
see a space, I can see a context in which that is appropriate. I can definitely see that in my
yeah,
own life if I were in a long-term relationship
yeah.
with someone who knew me and my intentions very
Yeah.
well.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what I mean? But
I
if
get
we're
that.
talking about something that's kind of new, we're still kind of getting
Yeah.
to know each other, I could see how that could be misrepresented, and how it could put someone in a stressful situation that I don't actually want them to be in. And like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't handle it that way, at least I would hope I wouldn't. I would hopefully be like, oh wow, they shared that information with me because they want to grow with me. But there are some fucked up people out here in the
Yeah.
world who would tell you some shit like that to fuck with your head.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think I've had someone tell me um, that they enjoy spending time with me. They like me, but they there's moments when they feel nothing, and I immediately did not take it personal. Like, first off, I was like, old Devery would have been like, did I do something wrong? What I do? But they were, when I started to listen to them, they had not, they were healing from their past trauma, and they were telling me about their moods being ever so like ever flowing. So that was a vulnerable moment for them. And for me, I said the only thing I can do in this space is allow and create, not allow, create space for you to speak your feelings and emotions because it's not projected towards me. It is about you.
Yeah.
So I think that if in situations you have to intentionally think about the space that people are like creating or allowing themselves to be in, because even with your situation, I don't think you were trying to, it wasn't about him, it was about you. But you also have to be considerate of like the information. But the person also has to know this has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And I need to be okay with that because it depends on people's attachment to things. If you're anxious attachment, if you're avoidant, if you're dismissive, you will look at it like, you know, if you're anxious, it's like, oh, what did I do wrong? And if you're avoidant, you're like, oh, I need to stand clear because this person is already, So it just depends. But you also, I do believe you have people can heal in real time.
Yeah.
And that they don't have to come in knowing everything. Like I do believe in like relationships, you don't have to already be healed to get into a relationship. You have to
I
be
agree.
willing to heal throughout the journey because you're going to always be put in predicaments that are going to make you reflect and reevaluate. And you have to know that you've created a solid foundation to not be, so hard and so, bad on yourself. And I think that that's something we need to be intentional with is the framework and the mindset that we have and like really having secure attachments to family, friends, relationships, because it ultimately depends on how we react. So like even going back to the guy, I was like, it's not about him, it's about me, and I don't feel chemistry. And if you, are upset about that, my intention was to let you know what I was feeling so that you can have the autonomy to make your own decision, even though I already made mine. So it was like, I made my decision. So I just wanted to let you know, be peace. But what is it? Be at peace. So that's interesting. But I think you had the right intention, but I think it just could be the certain person. I always think about that.
I almost always have the right intention. If I wasn't already pissed off, then my intentions are pure. But there's two things I know to be true. One is that our subconscious works in ways we don't expect it to. So sometimes, like, you think you have good intentions, and then you interrogate what your subconscious was saying when you did a thing, and it's like, oh. And secondly, that like I approach most things with good intentions, and then realize that the impact is like completely opposite of that. And I think we do ourselves a disservice not to be aware of both of those things in some capacity. None of us are going to be perfect. I am not perfect. I cannot be perfect.
Yeah.
And I will find myself doing what everyone else does. And I watch other people do this, and I can pretty much figure this out too, based on patterns that like sometimes a person is doing something mindlessly, but it is their subconscious acting out in a certain way. And we kind of just have to catch that. We have to like, someone has to hold a mirror up to us for most of the time and say this thing happened, and then we have to be made aware of that, and then either identify the pattern on our own or have someone identify the pattern for us so that we can see, okay, this thing is happening in a way that I was not aware. And it isn't an indictment of your character. It is just like this is possibly one of those things you need to heal from.
Yeah, I agree. I think it also is that person going to receive it? That's also a conversation that like you may not know, but when you do address it and you see how they respond to it, you move accordingly.
Yeah, because you gotta have a safe space.
Yeah, I think being intentional is very, very, and you just mentioned that it's that mindset of what are my intentions? What am I getting out of this? And what do I want to say? Like, for example, there was a guy that I was like getting to know, and the first date I had asked him, right? I was like, when was the last time you had sex? And he was like, last week. Bitch, I was like, okay, Devery, what was your intention? I was like, my intention was to clock if that nigga was busting down. But I was also like, what does that do for you now?
Yeah.
Like, you just met him. He doesn't, but I was so like,
were you gonna call him a hoe because he happened to have an available sexual partner a week ago?
I think I just was, I think I was just not, I don't know what I was thinking. And I was like, what was your intention for asking? I was like, I was very much not thinking it. I just was like, oh. And I think being mindful of what you're asking, because you also have to realize you may not get the answer that you want. And you have to be okay with it. I was assuming that he wouldn't have sex as long as I did, which is very unrealistic. But my mindset was this. I think I was thinking, oh, he hasn't had the energy that he gives is he hasn't had sex often. And then when he told me last week, I said, "So what you sitting on the couch with me for?" But I was like, "You're not about to do that with me." Just play. But I think the intentions I was thinking was about selfishly without externally. And I also have to think about, I was like, okay, what do you do with this information now? Like,
Yeah.
does it pertain to anything? And literally I was like, it doesn't. Like, it was before me. And I wasn't in the picture, but I think I just was caught off guard
Like,
by
even
the
if it had been
response.
a situation where it was like last week, I was in a relationship and like a fresh one, right? Like a new
Yeah.
relationship, and we had sex, and then I was like, oh, this person's a psychopath, and now I'm out here on the back on the scene looking for a new partner. There's so many conditions that could have
Yeah.
existed for them to be having sex, and I try not to over involve myself in the past sex life of a partner unless
Okay.
they're a sex addict or they participate in race play, or they are having sex with people or things that they should not be.
Unsafe. And it's not being safe. Right?
Or moral.
Or moral. Yeah. I agree with that. I think for me,
You need to know if your man was fucking corpses. I'm just saying.
Is it nephilia?
Necrophilia, yeah.
Necrophilia.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's like, what are you, when I heard that in my head, I was like, is that what you just want from me? Because I told you I want a relationship eventually.
Okay, so yes, that what you did is unreasonable, but
Yeah.
that's not an unreasonable thought to have.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the first thing someone that is pursuing you mentions, then yeah, you should have a yellow flag. Like, bitch, I'm over here trying to figure out like what your favorite latte is, like what your favorite day of the week is, what your life is looking like on a daily, what your goals are, and you're talking about getting in my pants, and we just met like a day ago.
Yeah.
And like, if you're thinking like, oh, this person's only concerned with sex at that point, then that makes sense to me.
Yeah. That's the thing. And I was like, I think I overthink because I think I don't want to be in this because of that trust is like, what? Because my mind says, if you just want sex, just say that.
Yeah. So I can say bye.
So I can say bye. And also because like me, I'm realizing like I don't do well with hookups. Like I think for me is I'm not the hookup type of girl. Y'all, shout out to the girls that are. Like I don't judge. I just think for me is like I be really catching feelings, y'all. I be down bad. Like I be crashing over niggas.
Not crashing out.
I'll be crashing out. Like I literally be like, I think I love him, y'all. Like I think I need to go look at rings.
All dick ain't good dick.
Yes, that's true. And I think all butt ain't good butt.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I value intimacy.
Gloria, oh shit.
Gloria.
Nothing.
Girl, what are we talking about?
Nothing.
Nothing. But yeah, no, I think I value intimacy a lot. And it means more to me than just cruising and just like, like I just realized that about myself and I'm like okay with it. But I just am like, I get nervous.
Oh yeah, I think you've always said that, and I definitely understand it. I know that like hookup culture really only works for me if I don't know. It's a little complicated. Like I've said before that I prefer sex with people that I have a connection to.
Yeah.
But that also means that like if I have sex with you and I don't have a connection with you, I probably don't want to do it again. So like I guess that is the definition of hookup culture. Like I was just like, oh, this was okay, so I don't really need to repeat it. But I'm not really interested in doing it. So I would prefer, much like yourself, to have sex with a person that like I'm gonna be like, damn, I want more of this. So I am now knowing like and actively looking at this situation where I'm like, if we're not going to go on dates, I really don't want to like waste my time linking with you in any way.
Yeah. I think for me is I like reassurance. And I like reassurance that you like me as a person and not me just sexually.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I missed as a kid. And I think that is something that I'm not looking for somebody to be my source of happiness. I'm looking for somebody to remind me to be happy, but also believe that in myself. And I think that like for me is like, I'm on this journey of wanting to do it with somebody else, and I lead that through everything that I do. So I just don't want to go into the space where I waste my time and this person is just like, oh, I just want you for that moment. So I think that is something. I've also thought about age gaps too, and in regards to like the age difference. Like I've set for myself is like I don't go 4 years my 4 years younger with me younger. Now going older, it's a little murky, girl. Because look, I might go to 40, you know. But I also, when I go younger, I definitely think for me is I'm always when somebody is younger, I always get to the space if they want me to always lead and be their like, provider. And I think I go back to like traumas of feeling like I'm not valued I'm only valued for what I can do and not who I am.
Oh.
So yeah, I think for me is when I see I'm dating someone younger, I am like, oh, I gotta be this person that's like, I have all these things together. I gotta make sure everything is right. When it's like, I want to be babied as well. I want to be reassured. I want to be surprised. I want to be wooed and swooned off my feet. And for me personally, the people I've dated that have been younger, it's no. Like, we want you to always be Big Daddy.
I think the verse energy kind of comes out for me in this sense because there are men with whom I interact where I'm like, yeah, sweep me off my feet. But there have been men in this world that I've wanted to sweep, whose feet I wanted to sweep them off. I don't even know if that was a grammatically correct sentence.
You're gonna
But like it depends, I guess, on the energy. I'm always looking for the yin to my yang. Like I'm trying to like create a whole
yeah.
picture based on the energy we give. And I know that I flow one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of just wanted to have a full picture with the men. This is why I always talk about the power balance. Like I'm looking for an exchange of
Yes.
energies and not for someone to be this fixed thing that then I have to be fixed in a way that I'm not naturally.
Yeah.
I am capable. I do want to provide. Like Elle Varner said in the song Leaf, any man just wants to be needed. Like I
Yes.
still have that in me. That's
Yes.
still a part of who I am. But I don't
Oh,
need to like I'm not subscribing to traditional gender roles. I'm not looking to be the man provider to anyone's home. I'm looking to be able to be that in the ways that I can be and for me to have that in the ways that I can have it. So,
yes.
and I mean,
Same.
honestly, I think that's something that straight people could learn from too. Like, you don't have to have these fixed gender roles, and most of them don't even really fit into that.
Yeah.
Like, allow yourself to exist in the way that you do. And that's why compatibility is so important because you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for someone who matches well with what you have to offer, not you pretending to be someone you're not or playing a role, especially one based on gender or gender expression.
Yeah.
That's fixed in a way that doesn't feel natural to you.
I agree, sister. I think because you're going to get into. You just got off your soapbox, sister. She's got off, y'all. We going okay. That she got. No, I totally agree because what I'm realizing is if you're compatible with somebody, it's not that you're adjusting, you're conforming, you're aligning with them.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we are doing the thing together, and it doesn't feel like I'm like shifting. I'm like it's like I am showing up as myself, and you're taking me as myself, and you're showing up as yourself, and you're taking
Take
yourself
me
as I am.
as I am.
And I think that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's what I want is I don't want to feel like I cannot. And that's what with that guy I mentioned at the beginning was I ultimately didn't feel like I could be fluid and my
Yeah.
masculinity and my femininity. And not saying, it had to be parameters to it is if I wanted to be a little bit more mask, if I wanted to be a little bit more foreign, there shouldn't be a box that I'm stuck in because I believe that like I deserve to be nurtured as well. I deserve to be held. I deserve, and that shouldn't dictate anything of if I can lead, if I want to be submissive. Like I think for me, it's like I just want to make sure that I'm with somebody that is able to show. Because I feel like if you can show all your emotions, you're healing. Because like nobody's just one way. Like if I'm feeling bad today, I feel bad. If I feel happy today, like I realize like if I'm giving 60 today, if you give 40, or like if
Yeah.
it's never going to always be 50 and
Yeah.
50.
They say this all the time. They
Mm-hmm.
always say that it's gonna ebb and flow.
Mm-hmm. Like
Power to the verse agenda, by the way.
diversity, that's the name of this episode.
Power to the verse agenda.
Okay, and I named that and I said with that when people ask what is that, it's like whatever I feel. Like I don't have to subscribe to one thing. Like if today I want to do this and tonight I want to do that, if in the middle I want to do this, in the middle I want to do that, it's just like, and I mean to me is with being versed that requires communication. And I think
And
that's the thing
honesty.
in honesty. And I think that people need to know that is that those type of relationships you have to be intertwined because you have to know what that other person is doing, what you're doing, and all of that stuff because it works.
Keep
So
that
beautiful.
strict energy away from a bitch like me, and I mean that in general. If you are priding yourself on being this fixed individual in any way, I don't want you near me. And I have to,
Mm-mm.
now that I think about it, so many of the people that I know and love are super fluid in a lot of the ways that they express themselves. They're honest with the ways that they are when it comes to gender expression, maybe more feminine or masculine at any given time. But then there are also like other personality traits that they kind of ebb and flow through, because I just don't think, like, I've never enjoyed that whole like I'm who I am and I'm never going to change. I
Ooh,
think that like we can change, and I think that change isn't this like chronological thing where it's like this one person at 25 and this totally different person at 30, even if
mm-mm.
there are changes, right? I think there are things that will stay the same between 25 and 30, and then I
Yeah,
think there are things that will change between 25 and 30, and then more importantly, I think on any given day, given the circumstances, we'll react differently to things based on what they call for from us.
yeah,
But like, I don't think that there has to be a fixed thing. I think we need to look at ourselves and at humanity in a much more complex and nuanced way. People do different things based on the
different emotions.
stimuli
Yeah,
and the conditions and who they are and what their experiences are. And we need to let people do that and be that.
yeah. I think the only fear is people. That means that people have to do the work. Then
Yes, it's not going to
that's
ever
the
be
only
easy. You
problem.
can't box people in and be like, this is who you are. This is who you're going to be forever. And
And
it's
it's like
easy.
no. And that's the thing. I'm like, and we talk about a lot of these conversations we have are we talk about on the podcast all the time because they're interchangeable, like literally our day and out. But I totally am like, why are we so bound to this one image? Like, if I am healthy, if I am clear in communication, if I'm transparent, why am I limited to this? And I'm like, no, it's the person you're with. Because if that person is only wanting you to be this certain way, then you're going to be in this constant confinement of like, I got to act like a top, like, or I got to act so straight, and it's like, no, like, I think the most freeing people are those ones that know, like, for you, I vision you as somebody that's flowing, like you're like, so, and I think that's confidence to people as well,
Mm.
is that when you are so you and you know who you are and it exudes, like the energy you have right now, the confidence you have as a person, like people look at that and it's like, it's because you know who you are and you're not allowing people to take it. I always give you your flowers, sister. Like,
Thank you.
I'm like, but yeah, like you have a confidence. And I think that like, even with dating, like you're going to find that person that is going to be the yin to your gang and y'all are going to be so magical together. But like, people have to understand that like, it's not just a box, bitch. Like, it's really not. And if you're boxing somebody in, you're not growing. And that box is going to be the same size. And
Yeah.
we get tall, we grow up, we mature. And if you're sticking to that, then girl, like, that's a problem.
I agree. I mean, I look at how my plants are outside or in here,
Mm,
and like, if you don't put a plant in a bigger pot, like it hits like a growth potential, or it'll outgrow the pot and die. Like, there are just so many things that it's like it's super necessary for the environment to be conducive to the growth pattern and like the natural ebb and flow of the organic matter.
yeah.
So that's why people move when they outgrow a place. That's why
Mm-hmm.
people leave relationships or friendships when they have reached new levels in their consciousness or in
When
their
they know it's
life.
time,
Yes.
when you know it's time to leave, you will know. But people have to allow themselves to go into a space of uncertainty to know that I'd rather be there than here. So
Mm.
people have to learn that too. Like, sorry, I just wanted to note that people have to
No.
be mature enough to know that this space has ran its course, this time has ran its course, and it is okay to walk away because regardless of the other person's feelings, like you knew you did, you know that this is just it's last lap. So, oh my gosh, sister, I love you.
I love you too.
Wow. Any takeaways? Any last things you want to say before we wrap up? I know we said a lot, but just
No, that was great. I feel good about that.
yeah. Me too. I definitely hope you all, loved and want to add more to the conversation for our listeners. Please, if y'all have anything y'all want to say, let us know. If you all would like to continue the conversation with me on my social media, you can hit me up at _Lord Every on everything, Twitter, X, Instagram, all of those things. What about you, Darwin?
You guys know you can find me on Instagram at Derwin King. That's DerwinKing, and that's on Threads as well.
Oh, yes. If you all want to follow the Instagram of the podcast, you can hit us up at That Black Boy Joy Pod. You can hit us up on X at That Black Boy Joy. And then if you would like to write into us, you can hit us up at That Black Boy Joy Podcast at gmail.com. We are on all streaming platforms. Please make sure you are rating. Please make sure you all are listening. Please make sure you all are commenting and having conversations with us. It really means a lot when we hear you all engage with us offline and things of that nature. We really do value people's feedback, and we just love to have these conversations. So please, please, please make sure you all are continuing to do that. And like we always tell our listeners, please be so in love with who you are.